This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris. Fall is in the air and a brand new crop of fruits and vegetables are awaiting us. Welcome to the Farmers Market Gourmet. Ratatouille is an amazing vegetable stew that comes from the south of France. And the reason it's such a great farmer's market find is when all the eggplant and the sweet peppers and the onions and the tomatoes and the squash are in season, you definitely want to make a pot of ratatouille. And today I'm going to be starting with 3 small eggplants. And one of the things we have to do is with eggplant, we have to do a little preparation work for it. And what we're going to first start by doing is cutting the eggplants into 1/2-inch size cubes. So I just start by cutting big slices like planks, then cutting them in long julienne slices, then putting those together and running my knife through them. Now, as you get each eggplant cut, you're going to want to put it into a colander over a board or a plate and put a little sprinkle of kosher salt on it. Now, what's going to happen is each eggplant, we're just going to add another layer to the colander with another sprinkle of salt. And we're going to let this kind of sit, and what will happen is the bitter juices from the eggplant will start to drain. So in about 20 minutes, you're going to have liquid like this coming out of your strainer. Now, before we can go ahead and cook the eggplant, we want to sort of pat it dry. So I'm just going to take some paper towels and kind of move them around in the colander and just take some of the dampness off. It's just amazing how much liquid comes off these eggplants. Then I'm going to get my largest stock pot and I'm going to put it on a medium heat and put about, 3 or 4 tablespoons of olive oil. Then I'm going to take all of the eggplant and pop it right inside the pot. And I want to give it a stir and coat the eggplant with that little bit of olive oil. And this is going to cook until the eggplant starts to brown. And while the eggplant is cooking away, I'm going to put my onion goggles on because I need to chop up 4 large onions. Now, just like the eggplant, we want this to be in a nice about 1/2-inch size dice. Now, when you're done chopping the onions, your eggplant's probably going to be nice and browned like this, but we don't want to leave it in the pot. What we want to do then is get a small bowl and we're going to transfer all the eggplant out of the pot. Now, if you saw that brown fond at the bottom, that's great. That'll be great flavor. So we put the pot right back on, another 3 or 4 tablespoons of olive oil, and then we're going to put in all of the onion. Now, these are going to cook on medium heat for about 7 minutes or so until they start to get nice and soft. So give them a stir. And while they're cooking away, we can go ahead and get our garlic chopped up. Now, I'm using about 10 cloves of garlic here, which sounds like a ton. But because of the cooking process, you're not going to really taste it in a harsh way. But you are going to want to take just a couple of minutes. We don't want it minced. We want it chopped. Then I'm going to get a small bunch of basil, and this is about 3 stalks of basil, and I'm going to take a little bit of kitchen twine and I'm going to tie these together in a little bundle and put them over to the side with the garlic. Then I'm going to go over to my pot and see the onions are nice and translucent, and then I'm going to drop in my little bunch of basil, and then I'm going to put in my garlic. And then I'm going to add some dried chili pepper flakes, and I'm going to put in about 2 pinches of that. Then I'm going to add a little bit of kosher salt and give that a stir. And then I'm just going to let that kind of hang out and start cooking. You know, the thing that's great about ratatouille is everything kind of cooks slowly. You don't have to be in a big rush. And while things are cooking, then you can go over and continue preparing other vegetables. And so what I'm doing now is I'm cutting up some peppers, and I found all these great colors. So I wanted 4 sweet peppers. I ended up with 2 red, a yellow, and an orange, but you could use any combination that you like. And again, we want to go with about a 1/2 inch size dice on the peppers. Then once they are all chopped up, then we're going to add them to our big pot. And then we just get our spoon and mix them in with everything else. Now, while the peppers are cooking, I'm going to go over and get my squash ready. Now, I got 6 of these little ball zucchini, but you can use any kind of summer squash that you find at the farmer's market. And I'm going to cut them up very similar to the way I did the eggplant, in planks first, in long julienne slices, and then cut them into about a 1/2 inch dice. And then they go into the pot, and you give them a big stir. And now we have just one more vegetable to prepare, and that is 6 tomatoes. And all we need to do is core the tomato, and then again, like everything else, we just cut it into planks, julienne them, and then go ahead and cut them into a 1/2 inch square dice. And then we go ahead and put those into the big pot. And then we're going to give the tomatoes a stir, and then we're going to let everything that's in the pot at the moment cook for about 10 minutes. And after the 10 minutes, then we can go ahead and put the eggplant back in. And then we just let all of this cook for about 10 to 15 more minutes. The idea with the ratatouille is we want all the vegetables to be nice and soft, but we don't want them to fall apart. Now for our last bit of flavoring, I'm going to gather about 12 basil leaves, and I'm going to go ahead and stack them together and give them a little roll. And then with my knife, I'm just going to run a blade right through it, and I'm going to chiffonade them so they make these nice little long strands of basil. Then when the timer goes off, it's time to pull your little bunch of basil out, and then we're going to go ahead and put the sprinkling of the fresh basil in. And then at the very end, I like to put just a little drizzle of olive oil and taste it again and make sure you've got enough salt in as well. Now you can absolutely serve this like this, nice and hot, or as a side dish. But let me show you one thing that you can do with it, either at this point or if you have leftovers. I actually had some leftovers. It tastes fantastic the next day. I warm it up, and I get some slices of artisan bread that I broil to get nice and brown, and I rub a clove of garlic over the top of it. Then what I do is I get a deep pan. I put 4 cups of water and 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar in. I put it on medium heat. And when little bubbles like this start to form on the bottom, the water is hot enough where we can start poaching some eggs. And to poach an egg, what I do is I take each egg and I put it in a little ramekin dish like this. And I bring it right to the surface of the water, and I just carefully slide it in. And when you're poaching eggs, you can do 3 or 4 at one time, which is really great. And then what you do is after you get all the eggs in, put the timer on for about 3.5 minutes. And these are going to slowly cook in this water. Then here's how we put this together. You get a deep dish like this and put a few spoonfuls of your warm ratatouille on the bottom. Then you're going to take one of our little garlic toasts and you're going to put that right in the center. And then make sure you have a couple of paper towels next to your pan, and you're going to get your slotted spoon, and you're carefully just going to pull out one of those poached eggs, and you're just going to let it set for a second in the spoon on that paper towel so the water drains off, and then you're going to carefully just slide it right onto your garlic toast. Then all you have to do to finish this is just put a little sprinkling of some kosher salt on top, and then a little grind of black pepper, and then this dish is ready to serve. Well, I've served this dish for lunch with some of my girlfriends. I've also served it for dinner for my guys, and it's just a wonderfully light, fresh dinner using all kinds of great ingredients from the farmer's market. Now, if you'd like to get the recipe, just go to our website and visit the Farmer's Market show notes. Also, don't forget to sign up for our new monthly newsletter. Each month, I'll send you a newsletter that's got links to all of our shows. We put up 42 original episodes every month, so you don't want to miss out on that. And then, of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I'll see you next time.